Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from Group 10. We will discussing about sociolinguistics. Before that, let me introduce our teams. They are Luisander Khalifa, Dinar Putri Nur Aini, and Akmalia Fadila. So, what is sociolinguistics? Sociolinguistics is the descriptive study of the effect of any and all aspects of society, including cultural norms, expectations, and context, on the way language is used and society's effect on language. It differs from sociology of language, which focuses on the effect of language in society. Sociolinguistics overlap considerably with paramedics and it's closely related to linguistics anthropology. Thus, it can be concluded that sociolinguistics is an interdisciplinary field of science that studies language in relation to the use of the language in society.
Social dialects, education and occupation, and social makers. In the social study of dialect, it is a social class that is mainly used to define groups of speakers as having something in common. Two main groups are identified: middle class, those who have more years of education and perform non-manual work, and working class, those who have fewer years of education and perform manual work of some kind. When linguists refer to working class speech, they are talking about a social dialect. The terms upper and lower are used to further subdivide the groups mainly on an economic basis, making upper middle class speech another type of social dialect or sociolect. Education and occupation. Although each of us has an individual way of speaking, a personal dialect or idiolect, we generally tend to sound like others with whom we share similar educational backgrounds and or occupations. As adults, the outcome of our time in the educational system is usually reflected in our occupation and socioeconomic status. The way bank executives, as opposed to window cleaners, talk to each other usually provides linguistic evidence for the significance of the social variables. Social markers. A linguistics feature that marks the speakers as a member of particular social group. There are pronunciation features that function as social markers. One feature is the final pronunciation of ing with n rather than angma at the end of words such as sitting and drinking. Pronunciation represented by sitting and drinking are typically associated with working class speech. Another social marker is called age dropping, which makes the words at and had sound same. It occurs at the beginning of words and can result in utterances that sound like "I'm so hungry I could eat an horse." In contemporary English, this feature is associated with lower class and less education. Speech style and style shifting, prestige, speech accommodation, register, and jargon slang. Speech style and style shifting is the way we use language depending on our social settings or context. The most basic distinction in speech style is between formal and informal uses. Formal usage is when we pay careful attention to how we are speaking. Informal usage is when we pay less attention to how we are speaking. Prestige is the form in which certain individuals change their speech. The direction in which our speech changed in a form that is frequent in the speech of those of higher social status or a status that is valued in is called covert prestige. Another form of speech change is called covert prestige. This hidden speech style when an individual does not change their speech form in favor of a valued speech form. For example, lower working class. Individuals that do not change their speech style. Why do you think lower working individuals tend to not change their speech form? Speech accommodation is a way of modifying our speech style towards or away from the perceived style of the person or people we are talking to, also known as code switching. It is a speech style that is used to reduce social distance or convergence. In contrast, divergence is when a speech style is used to emphasize social distance between speakers. Usually, divergence is triggered when an individual wants to mark their individuality among a majority group of individuals.
Register is a conventional way of using language is appropriate in a specific context, which may be identified as situational. Example, the way language is used in when writing for a newspaper versus the way language is used when writing poetry for a creative writing class. One of the defining features of register is the use of jargon. Jargon is special technical vocabulary associated with a specific area of work or interest. For example, the way the word table reference in a math class versus the way reference the word table in an everyday conversation. And slang is very informal language or specific words used by a particular group of people. You'll usually hear slang spoken more often than you'll see it put in writing. Tough emails and texts often contain many conversational slang words. And the last, vernacular or EEV. African American Vernacular English or EEV is the variety formerly known as Black English among sociolinguists and commonly called Ebonics outside the academic community. While some features of EEVE are apparently unique to this variety, in its structure, it also shows many communities with other varieties including a number of standard and non-standard English varieties spoken in the US and Caribbean. EFE has been at the heart of several public debates, and the analysis of the variety has also sparked and sustained debates among sociolinguistics. The history of FE and its genetic affiliations, by which we mean what language varieties it is related to, are also a matter of controversy. Some scholars contend that AFE developed out of the contact between speakers of West African language and speakers of vernacular English varieties. According to such a view, West Africans learned English on plantations in the southern coastal states, Georgia, South Carolina, etc. From a very small number of native speakers, the indentured laborers. Some suggest that this led to development of a rudimentary pidgin which was later expanded through a process of creolization. Okay, thank you.